Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 295 of Martha Runs the World. I can't believe I'm almost to 300 episodes. I'm not planning to do anything special for the 300th, but we'll just keep going along, just like I do every single week. You know, in January, it'll be 6 years, and I have not missed 1 week. Nope, I have not. Some podcasters, they get an episode out a week if they feel like it, if they feel like taking a week off. They do. That is not me. I get an episode out every single week. Do I always feel like it? Nah, but I do it anyway because that's what I got to do. And you know, I'm always really glad I did get it out, even though it's like running. You don't always feel like going for your run, but you do it because you know you have to do it, especially if you're training for something. If you only went out when you felt like running, you wouldn't run. It's true. And after that run, you're very happy you went out and did it. Usually, unless something bad happens. But 99% of the time, you're very happy and proud of yourself that you did it. Aren't you now? Okay, technology is taking huge leaps and bounds. And one of the things that is really getting so much better is coverage of our races. Of course, road races have always had great coverage. There are cameras everywhere, and we can watch road races and track races just at the very second they happen. The Olympics is a fine example of that. The coverage was outstanding. Yeah, I have a few complaints about it, but all in all, it was really fun to watch. But one of the things that maybe it has been a little frustrating, maybe has been a little hard to watch, is ultra running. Ultra running, of course, and trail races in general, of course, due to their very nature, does not have the same coverage, does not have the same live camera and video work that track and road races have. Obviously, that is changing. Will it ever have the dynamic coverage that track and road races have? No, but we don't really expect that. It's not like it has the same people standing at the sidelines of the race that road races have. You're not going to have hundreds of thousands of spectators. You're just not going to have that, but it's getting better as far as us being able to watch events live. One of the advancements that's going to help with that is Starlink. Starlink is a satellite internet constellation operated by Starlink Services, and that's wholly owned by American aerospace company SpaceX, and it's providing coverage to 102 countries worldwide. It aims to provide global mobile broadband to the entire world. Well, global would mean the entire world, so I'm just duplicating that. SpaceX started launching Starlink satellites in 2019. As of early March 2024, it consists of over 6,000 mass-produced small satellites in low Earth orbit that communicate with designated ground transceivers. Nearly 12,000 satellites are planned to be deployed, with a possible later extension to 34,000. SpaceX announced reaching more than 1 million subscribers in December 2022, 2 million in 2023, and 3 million in May 2024. So it's getting more. That's still a small amount, though, however. They are growing, though. They're growing quite a lot, but that's still not that many, but it is getting more as they go along. Now, the SpaceX satellite development facility is in Redmond, Washington, and houses everything for the company there. The revenues are getting more and more as they go along with their subscribers. The background is as they call the constellations of low Earth orbit satellites, were first conceptualized in the mid-1980s. The potential for low latency communication was also recognized, and development offshoots in the 1990s using around 100 satellites. But at that time, they all entered bankruptcy when the dot-com bubble burst. And they were just due to excessive launch costs at the time. So everything cost too much. They couldn't handle it. So everything just kind of went away for a while. And then in 2004, Larry Williams, SpaceX VP of Strategic Relations, opened the SpaceX Washington, D.C. office, and he got it going again. That's when the very beginnings were spawned at that time. In early 2014, Elon Musk and Greg Weiler were working together planning a constellation of around 700 satellites called Worldview, which would be over 10 times the size of the then largest Indium satellite constellation. However, these discussions broke down during June of 2014, and SpaceX instead filed an International Telecommunications Union application via the Norwegian Communications Authority under the name STEAM. SpaceX confirmed the connection in the 2016 application to license Starlink with the FCC. SpaceX trademarked the name Starlink in the U.S. for their satellite broadband network. The name was inspired by the 2012 novel The Fault in Our Stars, if you didn't know where that came from. I'm going to skip past all the real technical stuff because it doesn't really matter. I'm just giving a little background on Starlink. In May 2018, the FCC granted SpaceX approval for the initial 4,425 satellites with some conditions. SpaceX would need to obtain a separate approval from the ITU. The FCC supported a NASA request to ask SpaceX to achieve an even higher level of deorbiting reliability than the standard that NASA had previously used for itself, reliably deorbiting 90% of the satellites after their missions are complete. We got to have space junk up there, take them down after they're done. In May 2018, SpaceX expected the total cost of development and build-out of the constellation to approach $10 billion, equivalent to $11.95 billion in 2023. In mid-2018, SpaceX reorganized the satellite development division in Redmond and terminated several members of the senior management. So everything's reorganized and getting more of a tight ship. In the U.S., Starlink charged at launch a one-time hardware fee of $599 for a user terminal and $120 per month for internet service at a fixed service address location. An additional $25 a month allows the user terminal to move beyond a fixed location. So if you have an RV, that's how much it would cost. So it is not cheap. It is definitely not the cheap internet service I have. But I have really good service and good connections, so I don't know. I'm not giving up mine. But if you need it and you're way out in the boonies, or you are going out somewhere way far away and you can't get something else, this is a really, really good option. And if you have the money, of course, you have to have that money because this is not a cheap thing. Fixed users are told to expect a typical 50 to 150 megabits and latency of 20 to 40 milliseconds. A study found users averaged download speeds of 90.55 megabits in the first quarter of 2022, but dropped to 52.5 megabits in the second quarter. A higher performance version of the service advertises speeds of 150 to 500 megabits in exchange for a more costly 2,500 user terminal and $500 monthly service fee. Not cheap indeed. Another service called Starlink Maritime became available in 2022, providing internet access on the open ocean, which speeds at 350 megabits, requiring a maritime-grade 10,000 user terminal and 5,000 monthly service fee. So yeah, actually that's not, if you're way out in the open sea and nothing is around, you have a huge ship, okay, might be worth it. Sales are capped to a few hundred fixed users per 20 kilometers or 10 miles service cell area due to limited wireless capacity. I hope they are increasing that, though. Starlink alternatively offers a best effort service tier, allowing homes in capped areas to receive the current unused bandwidth of their cell while they are in the waiting list for more prioritized service. The price and equipment are the same as the residential service at $110 per month. To improve the service quality in densely populated areas, Starlink introduced a monthly 1 TB data cap for all non-business users, which became enforced in 2023. Now, in August 2022, SpaceX lowered monthly service costs for users in select countries. So that's pretty cool. It will get cheaper as it goes along, I can imagine. It's all fairly new technology, and it's all learning, but I think it's a boon for ultra races out in the middle of nowhere. Now, why do I mention this? Because I think some of the bigger, longer ultra races can't take advantage of this. Maybe they have. I don't know, but I'm guessing that some of them probably have already because some of the races have better coverage than they ever have before. Before any of this exceptional coverage, the only coverage we really had was we had a desk, I Run Far, which is a really, really great website and does cover ultra running really well. I Run Far had their iconic desk at the end of Western States 100 at the track in Auburn, at the high school at the track in Auburn. And that's what their coverage was. It was a desk there, and they would talk to guests all throughout the race. They would show the leaders of the men and the women, and they would talk to different people throughout the race. And that's what they did. That is what their coverage was. And that's all they had. And that's what we were happy with at the time. And that's all we knew. I mean, we didn't know any different. And it was, as compared to road and track, it was very sparse, shall we say. They did a great job of it. I loved their hosts. Their hosts were always wonderful, and their guests were terrific. But it was less than perfect. In May 2021, along came Jamel Turi of Era Viper Running and started his now terrific, impressive, historic Cocodona 250 race, and it changed everything. It changed the whole how coverage should be done in ultra races. He set the bar very, very high. And he made it difficult for other races because after that, we weren't satisfied with just a desk at the end of the race. That was like not enough. What else you got? In this brand new race, started right outside of Black Canyon City and went out through Crown King, out through Prescott, and ended in Flagstaff. It showed just how amazing ultra running coverage could be. It was spectacular. I was floored. And fortunately, because this run is for days, and it's 250 miles, so the runners are out there for days, most of it was covered live. Sure, they had a desk set up with hosts at Era Viper headquarters in Phoenix, but they had cameras at the aid stations. They had, and not just the aid stations, a lot of races are only doing at aid stations, but they had cameras on the course. They had drones on the course. They had drones all over. It was the coolest thing. It was just amazing. They had videographers as many places as they could. And for that first year, I was glued to my YouTube because it was on YouTube. There was only a few hours a night where there wasn't any coverage, but they would have Cocodona at night, and they would do it till like midnight, and then they would shut it down until like 5 the next morning. Then they would start it back up again. And it was just a spectacular coverage. It was amazing coverage. They had special guests. They would show all the aid stations. They would show the end. They would show in between. It wasn't without problems. There were sometimes the feeds didn't run right. Sometimes the drones would break down. Things went wrong, but it was really, really good. It was just as good as it could be. And the planning that went into this and the work that went into it, it was just remarkable. To me, it was just incredible how much effort went into the whole thing. I was floored by how good it was. And because of that time, I couldn't run at all. I was awaiting surgery. I was hobbling around. Couldn't have surgery till the following. When did I get surgery? I got surgery in October of 2021. That was my first hip surgery. So I could hardly walk. My hip hurt so bad. So it was really, really good medicinally for me. It helped me so much just to watch this great race. On my days off, I would just watch this whole thing. And then when I went to work, I would watch it on my phone. Just a load of fun. Really, really fun. Wow. What incredible coverage it was. And every year in Cocodona has the best coverage. And then the following year when they showed it, there was a lot less technical problems. They had smoothed those out. So it really, all the work, all the problems they had, they figured out how to fix most of them. So the coverage was even better. And because of the coverage of Cocodona, other race directors realized that they had to do something. And just this past year was the first year that Western States had more than just a desk at the finish line. They actually had cameras at different parts of the course. And I think maybe they used Starlink. I don't know if they did or not, but it seemed like they probably did, because I was told when I asked in the comments of Cocodona why didn't Western States or other races use cameras and video work and things like that, I was told because Western States was more remote, that Cocodona was in more populated areas, which actually isn't true, but that's what I was told. Crown King is very remote, and it's a very remote part of Cocodona. That person probably doesn't understand where Cocodona race goes to. But I'm thinking that, okay, if that person was correct, then maybe Western States now use Starlink and they can get to the more remote areas, because this year they had a lot more cameras and a lot on the course, and we could see a lot more of what was going on. So it wasn't just people sitting at the desk at the end of the race at the finish line talking about how things are going. It was a lot more exciting. Not Cocodona exciting level, but still better than it was. And that is what is important. If you want people to tune in, if you want people to get excited about ultra running, and if you want to get more people involved and more people interested in your sport, this is the way to do it. I keep hearing runners saying, why aren't more people interested in our sport? Well, because they can't really see how it's done. You can get them out there. If you can drag a friend out there to do it, that's fine. But if you want more people interested, then they have to watch it. Then there's the double-edged sword, isn't it? More people will be interested. It'll be less easy for you to get a spot on the race. More people means less entries. So which one do you want, right? Do you want more people in your sport? Okay, then don't complain if you can't get a spot in the race. All right. That's just another thought. That's just me playing devil's advocate and saying, yeah, okay, we'll get more people interested and you less likely of a chance to get into Western States or Hard Rock. And speaking of Hard Rock had amazing coverage this year, but that's because Jamel and company did the video work. Yeah. If you want the best video work, you hire them. I'm sure it's not cheap, but it's certainly well worth it. And wow, was it incredible to watch. I watched it at work. I watched all the video stuff at work. It was just really, really some of the best I'd ever seen. And I love watching that because as much as I would love to do that race, it's not a race that I'll ever get to run. But boy, it's certainly fun to watch the runners and the course, and some of that background is so beautiful. And yeah, I'll go visit there. That'll be a place where I will definitely go hike and maybe backpack. That I can do. I can backpack in the area, but I don't think I'll ever be able to run that race. But it's certainly beautiful. It's just some of the most beautiful places you'll see in the country. Western States was a lot more fun to watch this year on YouTube. I don't mind the guests, but I'm probably not ever going to go up to watch it because I don't want to deal with the crowds, but yeah, I know, me and crowds, but certainly nice to see. I know it's a different sport. You can't really compare ultra races with road races. It's completely different. They're both very, very different sports, and they have different backgrounds, and it's a different ideology, and things are completely different. So you can't really compare them. You can't compare running a road race with crowds lining each side. And I remember doing the California International Marathon, the SIM as they call it, which is my favorite road marathon, which it runs from Folsom, California, down. It's a gradual downhill to Sacramento, the state capital of California, and every part of that race has crowds on the sides of the road. Every part. San Francisco Marathon does not. There are lots of parts of the San Francisco Marathon where there aren't any crowds at all. I think because San Franciscans are kind of jaded and they don't want to get up early and blah, 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 that kind of thing. But in Sacramento, it's still fun and it's still a good event, and they really look forward to that. But you cannot compare that to an ultra where you're out there for hours and hours all by yourself. No one in the world is there with you. Maybe you'll see another runner. Maybe you won't. You get into an aid station and you see the friendliest, most wonderful people in the world. Pure angels, I tell you. And then you get filmed, and you get filmed at the worst possible time in your life where you just may be ready to die, or you're ready to puke, or what. Yay, you're on camera. Woo! But anyway, you come in and it's a totally different thing. But it's nice to be able to see what's going on and to see how the runners are doing, and to see this beautiful, beautiful countryside that they're in. Because let's face it, while you're running it, you don't appreciate it. You really don't. You just want to get through. It's great to see what they're doing. And especially if you want to one day run the race and want to see what it's going on, or you have a friend doing it, or you really idolize the runners, and one of your favorite runners is running it and you want to cheer for them. Because we cheer for these runners. We love these runners. And we want to watch them do their thing. And it's nice to be able to watch it and to say, well, one day I want to do that race. I want to be just like him and do that race. And that's a cool thing. And I'm really happy to see the technology is getting there, and hopefully the price will come down, because that's awfully expensive. It's very, very expensive right now, but I think Starlink prices will go down as it gets more of a common thing, so that maybe the little race director will be able to afford it and get some camera work out there, and maybe we'll be able to see more and more races show live cameras and videos of their races out in the middle of nowhere. Wouldn't that be cool? Be very, very cool, I think. But it's a start, and I think it's a good start. I think this is a really, really good thing, and I think all of us in the running community should be very happy about it. All right, so that is today's show, and the website is martharunstheworld.com, and if you want to email me, it's martharunstheworld@gmail.com. So, on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.
лицо, но все же чье, мой друг.